Alright, so we all know what RLCraft is at this point. It's a pretty difficult mod pack that like tears a man's willpower to shreds with his like skeletons that two-shot headshot you. You got serpents that jump at 30 feet in the air to snatch you out of the sky. But the worst of all, the worst of them all, is the dragon. And I hate these things, man. You can't challenge them until you completely master the mod pack, but I will master RLCraft in 100 days. I'll master this mod pack.
Or just die.
That's a possibility too, but you know, let's not think about that. Let's think of the positive. You know, this video was inspired by the Godfather, Luke TheNotable. Please don't copyright strike me, please, please, please. Also sub, I have 0 subs, sub, but let's get into it. Day 1. I should mention this is my second world. The first world went so horrific that I made the executive decision to restart. But this world, I saw a battle tower and I found a village, so I was feeling pretty good. The village gave me some tools and some food that I needed, and I raided a small battle tower before the end of the night, so I was feeling very good about this start. This was going to be the world. I swear this will be the world. Day 2, I focused on getting some levels by killing some helpless animals. In RLCraft, like, levels are everything, you know, you can't use better gear or progress without them. I also made some stone tools and band-aids, but my pace right now is kind of insane, you know. The only thing that could really stop me is some sort of spawn from Satan. Day 3, I'm getting ready to head out. In Minecraft, I look to explore, you know, sort of seeing what's out there, and I'm doing the same thing in RLCraft. I'll be walking for a while before I actually settle down. But in RLCraft, that can be a tad bit dangerous, and a great example is me leaving the village and getting, let me check the script, boxed like a fish by a chihuahua. So after about 3 years of therapy, I headed out on my adventure and I immediately saw 3 dragons, and I headed the opposite direction because no, please God, not again. And I was minding my own business when I suddenly got seduced by 3 women, you know. It's honestly just the life of a gamer. By day 4, I was back and I had set my spawn, but you know, I tested positive for stupid, so I didn't make earplugs, but I did just walk over to them, and you'll never guess what happened. So yeah, at this point my stuff had just despawned, and I decided to just try and take on the bottom floor of the battle tower. It did not work out for me. In the slightest, like not at all. The skeleton zombie combination made it impossible to loot goblin, and I wasn't skilled enough to take on the tower with my gear. So I started to gather materials for my master plan. Ooh, what could it be? I'm such a genius. Ooh. Day 5, I made my ascent of the tower and I was executing my fishing rod technique that I absolutely stole from Union. Thank God he did not copyright strike it, or I would be out of a job. And I got so much stuff from this. Like battle towers are my addiction. They are so good. It's absolutely insane. And by the end of day 6, I had looted the tower and made my comeback. I packed up all my new goodies and I got the fuck out of there. This land was absolutely cursed. It had too many women, and I just wanted nothing to do with this place. I was out, okay? And you'll see the cycle of like gaining loot just to lose some and then regaining loot. It's like a circle of life of RLCraft. And sometimes you'll just keep losing and losing and losing, and it just doesn't stop. On day 7, I found a village that actually had a ton of wheat in it, and huge wheat fields like this are really good in RLCraft because breaking crops gives you XP, and XP is like the blood of RLCraft. But you know, nothing in RLCraft is completely safe, so while tending to the village's crops, I almost got dropped by a plant. Yeah, this guy's get the hell out of me. Where did he come from? I don't understand. I was still traveling on day 8 and I decided to stop and make some avian treats. I use these to tame mounts, and I had my sights set on a rock. A rock is a flying mount, and flying mounts make looting and exploration so much easier in RLCraft. And rocks are one of the most maneuverable and easy to tame in the game. By day 9, I found another tower, and by the end of the day, I had conquered it. Because I am so good at this game. I used the resources to make a summoning staff, which is a super useful tool. It allows you to summon some enemies that you found around the world as some allies. On day 10, I was getting cocky. You know, I just finished off the tower and I was leaving when I saw the tower golem just standing there, menacingly. But you know, I'm an idiot, so I set down my backpack and he blew it up. You know, luckily I recovered everything, I think. But that was a close one. That was a real close one. I was really, like, my heart froze when I saw that happen. That was horrific. Alright, day 11. I decided I want some ender pearls for soulstone. Soulstone lets your mount respawn and it gives you a lot of other abilities. And I just happen to know that if you sit in the dark too long, these monsters that drop ender pearls will spawn. It gives you this message that's like in the corner of your screen that's like, you're a bitch, but I'm not a bitch. So I decided to stay down there and try and farm these monsters, but it did not work. I have no idea why it didn't work. Later in the series I would try again and it didn't work then, but you'll see eventually at some point monsters do actually spawn. So I don't know why, like what triggers it, but it just didn't work for me. So I went up and I made an atlas so that I could travel around a lot easier. Days 12 through 14, nothing really happened. I got some XP by killing some animals, and I actually went backwards for a day and I had to make up the time, but nothing else really happened. I actually have the strategy of leaving a trail of beds every night so that if I die, I'm not too far away from, you know, where I respawn, but nothing else really happened and I just sort of kept walking. On day 15, my playthrough took a little bit of a turning point. I found a village and I spent most of the day looting it, but little did I know that it was actually next to a battle tower, and on top of that battle tower was a dragon. Now this dragon right here would be the nightmare of my entire playthrough, man. This thing killed me so many, like you'll see, but this thing killed me so many times. This vile beast, this vile monster, this devil, this demon that plagued my entire 100-day series. John the Terrible. Day 16, I explored the area around my fort, but I was wary of John. See, I was in a plains biome, so which means that he could see me, but I could also see him. So it's just sort of this mutual like hatred, you know. It was a lot of sexual tension. But in act of desperation, I tried to kill him, but John's a bitch, all right. John's a little bitch, all right. So this guy just sort of hovered like in the air, just out of my arrow range, and I'm so bad at shooting arrows. Like I just don't even know how to explain it. But during the nighttime, I just sort of gave up at some point, and I was just sort of killing monsters for XP. But while I was doing this, the bird of my dreams came to me. All right, a rock appeared out of nowhere, and I tamed him. You know, I ran back, tamed him immediately. I decided to name this bird Stuart because he was a bitch. All right, he tried to escape. He tried to go into these caves for some reason. I kept like having to run after him, and it was just an annoying process. I had him in like sitting mode, but he just wouldn't work with me. But by day 17, Stuart had been secured in his prison, I mean temporary home, and getting pearls was now like a top priority. I really needed them for the soulstone, so I attempted something a little bit risky, and I set my sights on the tower that John was guarding, but this guy was in my way and I needed to remove him. But after this how do you say it, absolute clusterfuck disaster, I regrouped and I got some stuff, and I noticed that John was sleeping. So I devised a plan. This plan was gonna work. It was foolproof. There was no way that it could fail at all. I just sort of walked up to him. By day 18, I just wanted my gear back. I was delusional and I was desperate. And at this point, it wasn't even John stopping me. It was these firefuckers that just came after me nonstop. But I did manage to get some of my gear back, and I recovered. So after this incident, I went to try and recover some XP. I found a spider dungeon, so that was pretty cool, and I would use this later. But for right now, I just wanted to get some of my gear back, and I decided to just head back home. Or I did, until I got taken out by this elite hit squad of skeletons, and I just stood no chance. I got annihilated. Day 19, I got my stuff back, but I was harassed by Maroc. And let me say, I would give Stewart up in a heartbeat for one of these majestic beasts, man. A Maroc in a late game made fighting dragons like 10 times easier. But all the time I'd wasted getting killed by John, I didn't have anything to tame him. You need emeralds for the treats that you have to give him, and none of the villagers had any good trades. But on the bright side, I swiped some iron blocks that I spotted the night before I got dropped by the skeleton hit squad. And I also spotted this cool house that I'd never seen before in the distance. The next day I went to check out the building, and it was actually really cool. I found an insane amount of arrows, like holy shit. And this building was really nice, and the location was in a plains biome, which I didn't have to worry about the trees spawning mobs. I decided to make this my house. You know, it's common in RLCraft to take over buildings rather than make your own, just because it's not really worth the time, and I was ready to settle down. Day 21 was the big move. I put all my stuff in a backpack and in a chest. I picked up the chest and I got on Stewart. I set up a temporary storage room, and I actually found the 3rd floor, and the enchanted books up there were pretty good. Not the best, but the best I've seen in this playthrough. And I went outside to move Stewart. And my boy, he was gone. I realized later that the golems and Aegis had probably killed him, and over the course of these 100 days, their penance for this crime would be a slow death. I was still searching on day 22 because I didn't realize at the time what had happened. I reloaded my game twice, and he was still gone. I'd lost my child in the mall, and I was absolutely delusional. My son was gone, and he wouldn't be the last. He was like a father to me. After I accepted the cruel reality, I went to another place, like my house that I'd seen while I was moving. I got some more arrows, I got some decent books. But fun fact, if you try to pick up your backpack with a chest piece on, it just crashes your game. I realized this after like 3 crashes, but while I was dealing with this, I was jumped by a super zombie that just came out of nowhere. But I ran like a bitch, and on my way home, I got mauled. Like, I just got ripped apart, like 0 earnings, just absolutely ripped to shreds. I just had no chance. I made my way back to the scene of the crime on day 23, and I recovered my gear. After these multiple L's I had taken, I just decided I needed some more XP. So I went to go tackle that spider dungeon that I'd seen a couple days before, and let me say, I was not prepared for this. Like, there were so many zombies. I just got overrun, and it was absolutely insane. Like, they just didn't stop. Like, I couldn't find the spawners. It was awful. But the XP just made me keep pushing forward, and eventually my sword broke, and I made the smart decision and decided to head home and recover. Day 24, I was back in the dungeon, but the rate of zombie spawning was not slowing down. In RLCraft, spawners usually break after a certain amount of time, but they just weren't. And the amount of zombies and the special zombies and the greed for loot that I had just eventually overcame me, and I just got wiped again. But I didn't learn my lesson, because when I got back, I immediately jumped back down and got swarmed again. Like, I don't know. But a side note, the rats are useless summons. They absolutely do nothing. They die immediately. They do no damage. Useless. So don't even bother. But eventually I started playing slower and smarter. But you know, it just didn't matter, because in RLCraft, a zombie can just walk up to you and explode for no reason. Just wiped. No reason at all. And tackling this dungeon at this point was way harder than I imagined. Usually it's the cave spiders that are the worst part, but these zombies, with just the amount of numbers they had, were just tearing me down. But my luck actually changed when a Darkling spawned. These things are like face huggers, and they just attach onto enemies and just whittle their health down. So with them, I was able to regain control of the area. Day 25, I was feeling good, so I went home. My defense was high enough that I could wear diamond armor, and let me tell you, the jump from iron to diamond in RLCraft feels really good. I felt powerful, so powerful that I decided to make a quiver. Not a fan of it. Not a fan. It just serves as like a separate storage for arrows, and it doesn't actually draw them out. So it sort of seemed pointless to me, but I can see how it would be useful, but it just wasn't for me. So after this disappointment and re-equipped with diamond armor, I was back in my favorite dungeon that would inevitably kill me again. After getting my ass kicked in this dungeon all night long, bro. It was awful. But I was back home on day 26, and I wanted Rings of Resistance. It's a big step. It costs a lot of diamonds, but having 2 of them gives you perpetual resistance too, so it was really worth it. And at this point, the dungeon was pretty much clear. I was using water to sort of push the enemies back, and it was really carrying me. By the end of the day, I had cleared the dungeon, and my efforts were rewarded. I was blessed with the rock, the bird of my dreams. He was back. And this one would live, man. I decided to hide him away in the attic. They would never find him here. He was safe. My boy George was safe. Alright? Not again. Day 27, I was back to exploring after feeling good about having a new son. And I got jumped immediately. Like, is this Detroit, man? Like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening? But after recovering from this, the mod pack, it felt pretty bad, so it decided to spawn every single mod in the game. I didn't realize this at the time, but it was a blood moon, and it was pretty rough, but life wasn't all bad, and I actually found my third and fourth sons from this event. And I spent most of the night trying to get my third son indoors to safety. He was a big boy, so it took a while. And I spent the rest of the night clearing out mobs outside to get some XP. Day 28, I came back home and my fourth son was dead. I found his ashes outside my doorstep. But you know, at least I still have my other two sons. Oh no, my third son is also gone. But at least George was alive, so I guess, you know, consolation prize. In my grief, I decided to go take a walk. I went out adventuring. And it did not go well. It did not go well. And I went back and it did not go better. I don't know what's like, at this point, I'm just getting boxed, man. I can't win. But I went back the third time. I didn't immediately die. I was super excited about that. And I went out adventuring, feeling pretty good about life, you know? Just loving life, just feeling great. On day 29, my travels led me to a dungeon, and I'd seen dungeons like this before, so I sort of knew what to expect. I decided to go down and take a little peek, and it actually was connected to this super sick underground village, and it had so much food and resources, and it was really like unique. I'd never seen something like this before, and honestly, if I had found this place before, I probably would have lived here. Cool structures like this is why I like to explore in RLCraft. Like, you could play this mod pack 24/7 and still find sick stuff like this. It was so safe and like isolated, I actually ended up spending the night here. So day 30, I decided to check out the dungeon that I'd seen before, and never mind, I was not invited. I'ma head out. But after going to therapy for about 3 years, I still needed pearls, so I found the tower, and after a grueling battle to the top, you know, really tough battle. Let's go! No! Why is life cruel? Please, why? There's no way. There's no way. But I rushed back to the tower. I fought through a bunch of skeletons. This one like chased me down, but I somehow like narrowly avoided his arrows. I got to the top. I recovered some stuff, but you know, you just... Life is pain. So I was absolutely livid on day 31. I made my way back to the tower. I got some stuff, but I lost the pearls. Man, like, what are the chances of that? And I cleared the rest of the tower, and I just got some good experience, and I just decided to go home. Day 32, I limped back home. I left a trail of tears, and it was just not a good day. So day 33 was an interesting one. I headed back to the tower and I had what I can only describe as a very rough battle with the tower golem. I won, but like, did I really? After this, I passed a couple dragons, but this one dragon, he looked weak. He looked vulnerable. He was stuck in a wall. Your boy really needed a dub, all right? So I summoned the boys, and he immediately turned on me and just chased me down a mountain. I didn't stand a chance. I got my ass handed to me once again. Ah, man. By the end of day 34, I was back. I had managed to get my stuff back, and I actually managed to walk for a couple minutes before I decided to, lay down for a second. I didn't want to have to deal with the nighttime, but you can't have shit in Detroit, so I just got what I can only describe as absolutely fucked. Like it just, what? I was a broken man by day 35. I took my walk of shame, but on the walk of shame, I got mauled by some wolves that paralyzed me. Like what? What? Why? Please. I barely escaped and I got my stuff back. But despite all these setbacks, I just continued on my journey. I was pushing forward. I was just determined to just find something at this point to make up for all the loss. But you know what? My luck all changed on day 36. I found this boat that had some spawners. I destroyed them. It wasn't really hard, but one of them dropped an enchanted medkit. Alright, this thing is one of the best healing items in the game. You need a god apple just to craft it, so you can imagine how good it is. I decided to tackle a battle tower, and guess what, man? Finally, let's go. I quickly tackled the rest of the tower, just being as careful as I could, and I got the fuck out of Dodge. I immediately recalled home. I was so happy. All of my efforts, all of my hard work came to fruition on day 37. I finally made the soulstone. At this point I knew that I would be getting loot really quickly and my little storage room wasn't going to cut it. So I decided to evict the villagers that were upstairs. Don't worry, they found better homes in the afterlife. But after tearing down what used to be a beautiful community and building my industrial storage system, I was ready to head out. I spent most of day 38 organizing the new system, but after that was sorted, it was time to set to the skies with George. I felt so free in the sky. I was above all the rest, which is fitting because I am far superior. But as a true testament to the safety of flying, I was in a floating temple when a blood moon hit. I cleared out my building and I just sort of watched as the chaos ensued below. There was so many monsters. There was no way I was going down there. So I just spent the night in here. Day 39, it was my first battle tower with George, and let me tell you, the difference was night and day. So much easier than having to build up. But this mod pack has a way of bringing a man down. Because as I was conquering the tower, a blight zombie appeared out of nowhere. So blight enemies are way stronger than regular enemies. They're faster, they have more health, they do more damage. So I just stood no chance. I tried running away, but honestly, he was just sort of better. So yeah. Day 40 was the circle of life because I just kept dying and grave scrolling and dying again. I never even actually beat him. I just got lucky and he despawned on like my third or fourth death. I didn't lose too much other than, my pride, but I knew I needed to get stronger at this point. And with George soulbound, I now had the means to get loot quickly, so I had a motivation. So that's what I did on day 41. I rode till I found a battle tower, and I spent the rest of the day clearing it. I mainly wanted the XP, but the loot was definitely needed as well. Day 42, I made some earplugs because I was going to explore the sea, and I didn't want to be seduced off my mount by any women. And while fighting said women, I was approached by a sea serpent. Alright, now these guys are second only to dragons, and this sea snake will jump 30 feet in the air and one-shot you off your rock. But the armor that you get from them is some of the best in the game. So I gunned him down from a safe distance, and I was ecstatic. I was super excited. But the mood was like a slow burn. as I struggled to find the scales. I mean, I was so determined to find them that the determination, you know, it filled my lungs, and I drowned. I didn't think I was low, and it hits your head when you drown for some reason. Doesn't hit your body. I don't know what's going on there. But when I got back, you would think I'd just get my stuff back. You know, you'd think I'd just be able to find my stuff pretty easily. But I know I had the same problem I had with the scales. You can't swim in this version, and I can't see shit. And at the end of the day, most of my stuff despawned. And when I was recovering, when I had most of my stuff, I got jumped again. I was livid, all right? I was absolutely livid at this point. Day 43, I was back home, and I was sad as hell, all right? I remade my resistance rings and armor, but I could get new stuff, but it just didn't feel good, all right? It just did not feel good to be constantly beaten up by this mod pack. Day 44, I was back adventuring to try to make myself feel better and to get some more gear. I found this cool house that had some fucked up terrain, and I got some anvils, which I hadn't had yet. And holy shit, there are so many black men in here. Like, I found the whole place was booby trapped. All right, and every corner you walked around had some arrows that would shoot you, and they would give you different effects. But you know, it wasn't too bad. So I got the fuck out of there, all right? And on my way home, I killed another serpent. You'll never guess what happened on day 45. Try and guess, go ahead. You're wrong, I couldn't find the fucking scales. I don't know what's happening at this point. The game is just taking the piss, but I've never had this much trouble finding scales playing RLCraft. I don't understand. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Day 46, I'm still scanning the ocean for another serpent, and this idiot just sort of plops himself on land and gets stuck. So during this epic battle, I accidentally sent out some darklings, and they shredded him. They gave this dude the sucking of a lifetime, alright? And holy shit, I finally got some scales. I cannot express the relief that I felt when I saw this. I was so excited actually that I immediately crafted Tide Guardian armor, and let me tell you about this armor. This armor is better than diamond, and it gives you strength in the ocean for every piece of armor that you have on. So at this point, I was feeling pretty good in the ocean, and the only thing that could really kill me was another serpent. So I decided to go to this underwater structure that I knew had good stuff. This place had a bunch of decent books, and it had some runes, which I'll talk about later. And in this place, I found a lifesteal book, which lifesteal is really, really good. You put it on a weapon and you can just sort of attack through damage that you're taking, and it just heals you, and it's really, really good. It actually scales with damage, so higher attack weapons with lower swing speed, you can still heal through all the damage. I was actually home on day 47, and I hung up the Tide Guardian armor momentarily just because I wanted to wait until I could enchant it, just because it was good, but I didn't want it to take damage and everything, so I just hung it up for a little bit. I also took on a cheeky tower, you know, just feed my little addiction. After the tower, I decided to fight another serpent on day 48, and holy shit, these guys have the Jordans on. Like, look at this guy jump, all right? Look at this guy, this majestic creature. He is stuck on land. He is beached, all right? This stupid fucking sea word, bro. I don't understand. They do so much damage that you can't, like, joke with them. You can't joke around with them. You can't take them as a joke. But, like, look at this guy. How can he, what does he do? What is he doing? Day 49 was a big day because I decided to make a sea stone bauble, and I didn't know about these things until Calvin, so shout out to him. It grants you underwater movement, underwater vision, water breathing, and it'll instantly purify drinking water, so it's pretty good to say the least. So combined with the Tide Guardian armor, I wouldn't have much trouble in the water anymore. And I also made a new bow, so now I needed XP to enchant all my gear. So it's back to feeding my battle tower addiction. Let's go. Day 50, I was still looking for more towers, and I was flying over the ocean when my game suddenly froze. Then boom, Fallen Kingdom out of nowhere. Alright, this place was perfect for me right now because I needed a bunch of XP and there was so much wheat here. Like I could get like 30, 40 levels easily. Day 51, I knew nothing but breaking wheat. I broke so much that I had a consistent 2 frames per second, so that was great. But at the end of the day, I got a whole bunch of XP and I went home feeling really good. I made an enchantment area on the 3rd floor and I immediately went to looking for good enchantments on my gear. Oh man, day 52 I enchanted my bow and sword and I was feeling good, perhaps a little bit too good because I tried to fight John again. But dragons are hard to fight in the air and I'm also bad at the game, so I got crushed. God, day 53, I was back to that good old RLCraft circle of life, and I just kept dying over and over again, trying to get my stuff back, and at the end of the day, all my stuff despawned, and once again, John had taken everything from me. Oh man, day 54 I was devastated, and I needed to re-gear, so I went out exploring. And actually found another cool village, like the underground one that I found before. And I also found another place like my house, which was also really, really good because I needed some more arrows. Because I was running low, because I had lost all of them to the fucking dragon. And I just kept exploring on day 55. Nothing really exciting happened. I killed my first Cyclops and I got a shit ton of wool, but that was the only thing, to be honest. Day 56, I killed another beached worm. I plundered a pirate ship. And I plundered a grave. But the people were sort of poor, so it didn't really have any good things. I did a really sloppy battle tower on day 57, really some amateur level shit, but I guess that's what happens when you don't fling off the tower golem. My summons ended up attacking him before I could fling him, so it was a clusterfuck, to be honest. I decided it was time for me to get serious on day 58. I wanted a dragon's eye. It would be what I needed to finally kill John. But to do this, I would need a bunch of glowing ingots, and while I'd been keeping a bit of silver, I just didn't have enough. And I also wanted to make a waystone for my base so that I could teleport there, and for that I needed obsidian, which I hadn't been keeping any of. So on day 59, I started looking for towers. I cleared out this spooky cavern which had a bunch of black men in the attic, and why did I say that? But as I went on, I think my luck on towers was getting worse. I was clearing out this one tower, and I had flung the golem, but then the tower started collapsing out of nowhere. It turns out that a sea serpent had actually killed the golem in the water, and he started coming after me to take out the witnesses, but I swam away because of my armor. But I wasn't safe yet, because when I was on land, this big boy, this absolute unit started charging at me, and I just sort of dipped. Day 60, I had cleared out some more towers and I had gotten some glowstone and blaze powder for the glowing ingot, but I hadn't found any obsidian, so I just ended up leveling up my mining so I could get a diamond pickaxe to just mine it myself. Day 61, I made my waystone and I established my base as an independent nation, even though at this point most of the inhabitants were already gone, but that was because of the original sin of killing my first son, so that was fine. But on a less grim note, I had enough glowing ingots and I was really excited until I realized the last ingredient, a dragon skull. But you know what, I had a plan. I enchanted my Tide Garden armor because I knew of a dragon that was above water. I had seen him when I tried to kill the dragon stuck in the wall, and now was a perfect opportunity. I knew if I could fight him in the water, I could have a chance of taking him out. Day 62. I was actually smart and I decided to put away all the gear that I didn't need for the battle. Usually I just take it with me, but this time I just put it in a chest. In this chest I also put some extra grave skulls. And finally it was time. I'm so bad at aerial combat, like what the fuck, man, what am I doing? But you know what, it didn't matter, because the dragon fell, and he was on my turf now. And on this day, I defeated my first dragon, and I was on top of the world. And on day 63, I crafted the dragon's eye. I crafted a dragon saber, and I was back. I was back to the top, and I was ready. And on the 64th day, John, the untouchable being that had ruled over these lands, was defeated. And I was feeling good. I finally killed the golem that was actually still alive because he was a special. And as soon as the tower collapsed around me. And funnily enough, an event spawned, but after killing the dragon, these tigers were just free. So after killing a bunch of kittens for XP, I actually decided to upgrade my sword. And I lost my lifesteal enchant. Why is this a thing? I don't understand. Why does this happen to me? I was so sad. Day 65, I made some dragon armor, but I decided I wasn't ready for it yet. I needed to enchant it. So me and George went on another adventure and I ended the day with the battle tower. This second tower on day 66 had Spider Zeus in it, but he just sort of fell and died, but he was really terrifying for like a second. But forget him, look at this amazing villager utopia that I found. Like honestly, this place is amazing. I explored it all day and it really felt alive. I haven't seen any place like this in RLCraft before. Winter was here on day 67 and oh man was I feeling it. I was constantly hit with hypothermia and I couldn't sleep that night, so I actually tried to swim in lava, and while it helped a little bit, the mobs that spawned constantly just sort of overwhelmed me and I actually ended up recalling home. I started off day 68 enchanting my dragon's armor. I got some decent enchantments, but I knew I'd need better later. You always think that your armor's good enough until you get one shot by something in RLCraft. But I ended the day by robbing a windmill village of their food source. But this fucking hypothermia, man, it was ruining my life. I wasn't dying because I'm just so powerful, but it was really annoying. Honestly, after this event, I was just sort of traumatized by the cold. So on day 69, nice. I went home and put, I'm 5 by the way. I went home and put an Aussie liner and a mending book on my Tide Guardian leggings. And I finished enchanting the rest of my dragon armor, and I even enchanted a sword. For the first time, I was feeling like I was in a good position, but this is RLCraft, so everything could change in an instant. And while I was flying for more XP, this huge dragon, this absolute beast came out of nowhere. Like, look at this guy. Look at this guy. But you know, I was cocky, I was delusional even. And the dragon had gotten stuck, and I thought, hey, look at this idiot. I could whittle him down easily. And let me tell you, I was in absolute shock. I knew that my armor wasn't the best, but one shot? You have to be absolutely kidding me. Oh man, you know the deal, circle of life type beat. I died multiple times, and by the time I had lived for more than a minute, on day 70, most of my stuff had despawned. I decided to be smart and I regrouped at my base before I decided to try again. And I was going to try again because despite everything that had happened, taking this guy that was stuck in a wall was still way easier than taking a regular level 5 dragon. So I went back and I whittled down his health using every single thing I had. I used Aegis, I used Darklings, and eventually he was far enough in the wall where I could hit him and he couldn't hit me. And finally, after fighting all night, he fell. And he didn't drop an egg, man. I was pissed. I literally spent all night searching, but I guess I didn't earn it anyways. Day 71, I actually spent most of the day searching for the egg, but I ended up not finding it, so I just headed home. I had lost so much stuff, but honestly I saw this as my chance to get better gear. Day 72, I made some more gear, and I once again needed XP as always. I wanted to try out the halberd, but I was unsure of how I do because I tend to flick fast in tense situations. But you can take most damage, and the halberd does a lot of damage by itself, which with lifesteal that scales with damage, it'd be really useful when I got that enchantment. I set out and I actually tried to kill another dragon, but I had no arrows, so I couldn't really do much. I'd wasted most of them on the level 5 dragon. But in spite of all this, I actually ended the day making a new bow because I knew I'd get arrows eventually. I spent most of day 73 getting flint because I needed more arrows, but then I just remembered that you can use these weird vines to make arrows instead of flint, so no more flint. All my homies hate flint. And then I went to test my halberd by taking out an upside down battle tower on day 74. And let me tell you about the absolute clusterfuck that occurred here. The tower was made of ice. I had a fire halberd. Everything melted. It was a tight space. I panic clicked, remember that? And it was just an absolute fucking mess. But luckily I had strength because of my Tide Guardian armor. But this was absolutely awful. Good loot though. Day 75, I was not feeling the halberd. It could be because of the traumatic event that I just experienced, but maybe I'll try it again in the next 100 days if you guys like the video. Like the video. Like the video. But by the end of the day, I had enchanted a new set of armor, and I had my sights set on some endgame content. One of the best places to get in-game loot, in my humble opinion, are these underwater dungeons. Now these things can be dangerous, like really dangerous, if you're not prepared, but with my recent set of armor I felt pretty confident. And I spent all of day 76 going the wrong way. But I killed a serpent, so worth it, I think? Yeah, let's say it's worth it. Day 77, I cleared 2 more battle towers to feed my crippling addiction. Please help me. And I actually found the dungeon, which I had marked on my map earlier. So on day 78, I went to take on the dungeon. I wasn't wasting any time. I went straight in and started tearing into these little fuckers. Can we say that? It honestly wasn't too bad. I kept moving around, breaking line of sight, and their thorns didn't do much. The thing that fucked me was the mining fatigue, and at the time I had forgotten about the bauble that grants immunity to it. I realized I had to come up with a solution when I put down a shulker box that I found, and I couldn't pick it back up. So me and all of my genius came up with Operation Cow. Day 79, I initiated Plan Cow by snatching this innocent cow from its home and placing it in an ocean prison, using it for its milk. Now, this may be a little bit cruel, but let me tell you right now, I don't care. With my source of milk supplied, I continued to plunder, and about halfway through the dungeon, I picked up the bauble and I realized that I was a moron. Loot wise, I got some more shulkers, I got a fucking totem, which is awesome, and I was living life and feeling good until I got jumped by the entire ocean. After I escaped this mess, I finished the dungeon by day 80. The loot was decent, but I've seen much better in these types of dungeons. And at night I was hit with another blood moon, and I used it to try and find another Marak, but I didn't get lucky. But what I did find was this huge dungeon. Like, this thing is crazy. I raided a few chests on the top, and I got some good stuff before I was chased away by Vex. I established my dominance over the dragon completely on day 81, and I spent the rest of the day enchanting. I was still enchanting on day 82. I really wanted lifesteal on my sword, as while I had a medkit, it can be hard to pop when you're surrounded. It wasn't until day 83 that I finally managed to get it. This took so long. Like, the video doesn't make it seem like it was that long, but I did not sleep through the Minecraft nights. I just kept enchanting. I kept enchanting through day 84 and I eventually settled. I wasn't fully satisfied, but they would do for now. On day 85, me and George were taking out battle towers left and right. I didn't have to go home thanks to shulker boxes, so I just kept taking them out. Day 86, I finally found another underwater dungeon, along with another fallen kingdom. But this dungeon came with a giant sea worm, which I killed with ease, and it dropped 1 scale. Like, what's even the purpose? What is even the point of its life if it's just gonna drop 1 scale? But I went into the dungeon on day 87 and I breezed through it with lifesteal. Oh man, this one had so much better loot than the last one. I found shulkers, I found an enchanted medkit, I found 2, count them, 2 elytras. Day 88, I came across this huge structure, but it was completely empty. This freaked me out so badly that I ran away off pure instincts, and while I was running, I was seduced once again by a sea thought. One of them was actually invisible and kept locking me in a trance, and I was too scared to take off my helmet to put on the earplugs, and if I didn't have the right gear, this thing could have fucked me up. So to assert dominance in the sea, I fought a sea serpent in hand-to-hand combat, which could be really dangerous. These things could do a lot of damage. But I won, and with that, I established my dominance in the sea, on land, and in the sky. Let's go! I banked all my loot on day 89, along with all my XP for safekeeping. I needed to do this because I was prepping for the final fight, the Ender Dragon. This can be really dangerous in RLCraft, so I needed to keep all my XP safe, just in case. I headed out day 90 and I immediately got distracted with this really cool base. It had a bunch of different biomes on it and it was really cool. The stronghold was actually pretty close to my base and I found it pretty easily. This little fucker tried to prank me, but luckily I'm literally immune to lava, so he got pranked with death. I went through the portal and I went straight to work. In RLCraft, flying mounts are necessary because a lot of mobs spawn in the end on the ground and you'll be in a lot of trouble if you don't have a flying mount. But I had George and I was popping towers left and right, but I did run into two problems. One were these bats that were constantly chasing after me, but I just sent the boys to go rough them up. The second was that I couldn't mine the cages while I was on my mount, so I actually had to hop down onto them, and I just decided to tank the damage just because at this point I'm a deity, let's be honest. But other than that, this fight was a clean sweep. GG, I'm just better, you dog water dragon. On what was now day 91, I tried to get the XP, but I actually almost died trying to get it, so I just jumped in. I completely forgot about the dragon scales, but it's whatever. I decided that with the XP that I had, I should level up magic and make an advanced rune reader. My goal was to try to get golem armor, which was considered the best armor in the game, but I was only interested in the helmet and boots, because I believe technically the Tide Guardian legs and the dragon chest piece are the best in their respective slots. I went to get some redstone and I ended up fighting a dragon over a battle tower, and George got his shit rocked. Get it? Get it? Pun intended. But anyways, once the idiot landed, he was mine. I really need to get him rocked. But day 92 I made an advanced rune reader and I spent most of the day scanning different runes. And I actually got the golem chest piece. In order to craft these runes, you need to use the blueprints, which are the runes. And each of these blueprints have random items that you need to craft the items themselves. But of all the discs that I collected for this exact reason, the one that I needed to craft the chest piece was the one that I didn't have. It was fine because I didn't really want the chest piece, but it was still sort of annoying. Day 93, I repaired my armor because I was preparing to tackle the big dungeon that I had found earlier. When I entered the dungeon, I was immediately swarmed by a constant wave of indicators. And if I didn't have lifesteal, I don't think I would have survived this because I was backed into a corner multiple times here. By day 94, I was actually just losing my fucking mind. I couldn't find the Vindicator spawners. I knew that they could be in the walls and in the ground, but I just couldn't find them. So I just decided to keep ascending the tower. And at this point, the enemies weren't really hurting, but it was just sort of crushing my willpower. I wrote in my notes, what day is it? I'm fucking losing my mind. The loot was good, but the tight fighting areas made it just essentially a clusterfuck. There was one room though that actually did terrify me. And that was this creeper room filled with fucking TNT. Like, what is this? This shit would kill me in creative mode. I don't care what gear I have, I'm just dead. But by not charging in there like an idiot, I actually was able to remove the TNT before it blew up. By day 95, I was just essentially in a fever dream at this point. But I did see a Maroc when I was climbing the tower, so I immediately recall potioned home and grabbed the dragon treats. But by the time I got back, he was gone. And I was devastated, my guy. I did find this giant turkey, but it wasn't the same, so I stuffed it with the boys. Hey, yo, what? Day 96, I cleared out the rest of the dungeon, and I got a shit ton of silver at the top, which was really good in case I lost my dragon's eye. I went down to the basement and I found Sewer Ape. After I cleared out the basement, I considered the dungeon complete. I spent most of day 97 sorting through all the loot, and I got hit with the blood moon, and I immediately went outside to look for a rock because at this point I just really wanted one. After searching all night, I took my anger out on a dragon on day 98, and George died again, but other than that, it was pretty easy. Day 99. I spent all night looking for a rock, and at this point, it had become my end of series goal. I haven't shown it, but I spent countless nights over these 100 days searching for one. But during the night of day 99, I was blessed with the mod of my dreams, this absolute stallion. My boy Julian joined the family. Day 100, this is it. All my efforts came together as me and Julian annihilated a dragon, just absolutely decimated him. These beasts that once ruled the skies had been dethroned. I returned to my base and I hung up my gear, but I still have so much to do in this world, and I now have the power to take on all the endgame content. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you like this content, there will be more to come. Until next time.